Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Bailey's Best, where we sit around and just kind of talk sports with you. The Super Bowl is coming up. We've got lots of college basketball, not a lot of high school basketball, because obviously with the snow and the ice and everything that's going on, we don't have a lot of that. Pirate baseball is getting ready to start. The banquet is set for Saturday. So, and an opening day is the 13th when Xavier comes to town. So lots to talk about. Let's talk about the Super Bowl first. One of us has our favorite team in the Super Bowl, and the other one has waited 30 years to see his team in the Super Bowl. But your Patriots getting set, what do you think?
Well, that's all right, because I just walked by ESPN. They were talking Cowboys.
Yeah, they always talk Cowboys, yeah.
But they're not in the game, though.
I know.
But
they always talk Cowboys.
They're sitting in San Francisco talking Cowboys. No, it's been such a surprise run. You know, with all the years with Brady and Belichick, it was like, all right, the running joke was like the season starts in the AFC Championship game, but this is the first time it's really kind of been out of nowhere since 2001, and Vrabel is a player on that team. Now he's the head coach, and it's been a fun season either way. You know, however the Super Bowl goes, I just hope they don't lose it on either a bad call. I hope they don't throw it on the 1 yard line.
Oh, man.
I hope they don't lose it like that. And, you know, if Darnold and the Seahawks make a couple more plays and win 31-24, whatever, I can live with that. Just hopefully no big blown leads, nothing awful like that, and no officiating blunders.
You know, the hopefully. Seahawks, what, a 4.5 point favorite. If they were playing at home, it would be closer to 7. And as I was listening to some of the gambling pundits, they said that's a lot. That's a big spread for 4.5
for Super Bowl, yeah.
Super Bowl, and a place, you're playing right there, in a, what am I looking for? The word is common neutral site. Golly, I sat there and talked. Neutral site. Couldn't think of what it was. Neutral site. But 4.5 is a lot for a neutral site.
It is. The trend is, so the last underdog of 4 or more points to cover, it was Seattle against Denver when they blew them out 43-8, that one Super Bowl at MetLife in New Jersey. So it's been a while since an underdog of this size, or since the favorite of this size, has covered in a Super Bowl. 5 straight, the underdogs covered when it's been 4 or more.
The last time that the Patriots and the Seahawks played in the Super Bowl, it came down to the big question: why don't you give the ball to beast mode?
Yep.
And I will, to my death, I will never understand what happened with that. There was a great catch right before that nobody remembers now.
No.
And then you get the ball, you're right there. And he's been, I'll never understand it. And I remember the shot of Brady sitting there, and you can tell he's like, we had a great season, but we fell short. And then he looks up and he's like, he's born again because they throw the interception.
It's my favorite play of all time, just above Dave Roberts stealing second base against the Yankees. So I'm thankful it happened. They practiced that play during the week. They knew it was coming. If they didn't run it, they knew that's the play they're going to run on the 1 yard line. So they say, and it's a good thing they did. But
why would you run that play on the 1 yard line almost, even if you didn't have a great running game or a great back? I mean, that was the days before the tush push. But I mean, still, why, when you have an outstanding, powerful running back and you're down there, why would you run that play?
I'll never know. I think there's theories that Pete Carroll wanted Russell to be the hero, wanted Russell Wilson to be the hero, and not Marshawn.
Instead he turned him into the GOAT.
He turned him into the GOAT, and
not the greatest of all time. That's a real GOAT.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see if he gets in the Hall of Fame, since his head coach and his owner can't. But it's I'll forever be thankful for it. I remember sitting there after that curse catch, same as Brady, just like in shock and like, how could it happen?
Did you cry?
I was close. I probably would have if they lost, because Tyree makes that catch, a legendary catch against the helmet, and I thought it happened again. And Mario Manningham made another catch, different on the sideline. It wasn't like a juggling miracle, but I thought the Patriots were cursed in that moment.
On a side note to the Super Bowl, and you mentioned it a little while ago, but the fact that Bill Belichick doesn't get in the Hall of Fame on a first ballot, and the fact that Robert Kraft, and somebody said, is that 14 times he's been up for the Hall of Fame and didn't get in?
Yeah, it's been an ongoing thing.
Happen?
It's been an ongoing thing.
Jerry Jones got in, and Jerry Jones doesn't have the Super Bowls Robert Kraft has.
And Pat Bowlen, the former Broncos owner, when Elway won the Super Bowls, is in. Eddie DiBartolo from the 49ers. There's a lot of other owners who have not done as much and are in. So it's
Is
I
it
don't
all
know.
based on Deflategate and some of the controversies?
I think it is. Kraft did, and this has been detailed by Seth Wickersham and Adam Schefter at ESPN. There was a long time where Kraft really did put a PR campaign on. Him and the Patriots head PR guy did do a lot of their own campaigning, if you will. That rubbed people the wrong way. At this point, I just think it's jealousy. I really do.
Yeah, well, hey, it's stunning, really, because I thought in hearing Robert Kraft didn't get out, I thought that was the first ballot, but it wasn't. I mean, that's 14 times.
It's been a long time,
and that's just incredible that he's not in the Hall of Fame. Belichick should be in the Hall. Whether or not you're a fan of Bill Belichick, he should be in the Hall of Fame.
And this is 3 different coach-quarterback combos with Kraft that have gone to a Super Bowl now. Vrabel and May, Brady, Belichick, Parcells, and Bledsoe. He's on the team through all of it, and I don't think many or any other owner can say that. And still not enough.
All right. Later on, we're going to make our picks, and coming up in just a bit, we're going to go through some of the prop bets. The thing about prop bets is the fact that there used to be a big deal for the Super Bowl and big games, but now, I mean, all these DraftKings and all these other sports books, they do them every week. I mean, there's always a prop bet out there.
Yeah, there's plenty. They go a little overboard. They got how many times is Cardi B going to be shown on screen for this one? They got all kinds of props. You can bet just about anyone under the sun to score a touchdown. So it's you can really just have your pick with it. Of course, we're in North Carolina. It's legalized sports betting as of a couple of years ago, and I mean you can literally find if you want it. I mean, color Gatorade that the winning coach is going to get splashed with.
That's nuts.
Who the MVP is going to thank first, whether it's God or his family or his teammates. I mean, you can take your pick out there. There's plenty of it.
All right, we're going to talk prop bets coming up in just a bit. We'll take our first commercial break here on Bailey's Best for this week. Back with more on our show for you right after this. All right, welcome back to Bailey's Best, talking Super Bowl, and now we're talking about prop bets at the Super Bowl, and these are like little mini bets, inside the game, total passing yards for Drake May, and just different things like that. What are some of the best bets coming up for this Super Bowl?
Well, I think with both quarterbacks, May has been a little more mistake prone in the playoffs than he's been in the regular season. Sam Darnold, to his credit, hasn't been, but I think everyone's kind of waiting for, you think about his time with the Jets, his time with the Carolina Panthers locally, and then, with the Vikings last year. There was always kind of that point where he turned into a pumpkin. That's been the word. I don't know why that word is caught on, but that's the one. So I do think both quarterbacks throw an interception in this game. I've seen it at plus 200. I think both defenses have played pretty well in these playoffs, and I do think both quarterbacks are going to turn the ball over. So that's one I'm kind of looking at with the QBs.
So both quarterbacks to have at least one turnover in the game. Is there rushing yards for the quarterbacks or anything like that? There's been,
May is at, I want to say, in the high 40s right now, and he's been above that.
That's a lot, though.
It is a lot. He had 60. I think he had 63 against the Broncos. He went over that total against the Texans as well. The question right now in New England is the status of his right shoulder.
Right.
They say he hurt it during the game. There's a video of him and Michael, his wife, fiance, I think wife, afterwards kind of tapping him on the shoulder pads. He kind of winced in the celebration. So there's some questions about that. So I would say just tread lightly on the May props. If you want to go at New England, I think there's other avenues to be had. I'd look towards Ramondre Stevenson. They have not used Travion Henderson much in these playoffs. So that's been kind of, maybe saving him for this game. He's a rookie, so maybe just not ready for the moment. Hunter Henry's another guy I look at with the targets, the reliable tight end for New England in a game where May's going to be facing a lot of pressure, dumping it off and feeding the tight end, hitting that, those checkdowns.
So one of the great stories all time for Super Bowl prop bets is our former WNCT number 2 guy, Zach Maskovich, who's in Orlando now.
Yep.
And he happened to be doing a story near the stadium the 2 days before the Super Bowl, and he could hear the national anthem being practiced, and so he timed it, and then he put it out there on Twitter. So all the sports books had to take it down because he had the answer right there. And so guys were seeing that and were piling on, trying to get that prop bet in. I just thought that was fascinating to me that he was able to do that, to get it out there. And some people, I'm sure, won some money on it because they couldn't get it down fast fast enough.
Oh, the wise guys were all over it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Was that when it was in Tampa a few years ago?
I believe that's when it was,
with
yeah.
Brady and the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
It's Charlie Puth doing the anthem this year. It's gone under 3 of the last 4. So, I don't know, you could say, some people would say it's due. I think it's 113 seconds right now. There's not a lot of video out there of him doing the national anthem and other things. Sometimes people look at that.
That's true.
So you can look at that. But that's beauty's in the eye of the beholder there. You want to bet the coin toss? You know,
A lot of people bet the coin toss.
I mean, it's a true
50-50 prop.
just don't bet it at minus 105 for something that is a true 50-50
That's
deal.
right, yeah.
Get even money if you're going to bet it. Don't bet it at a number that the sports books have advantageously.
Is there any prop that you really, really like that you not that you're going to gamble or anything?
No,
but it is legal.
Never. The one I like to take every Super Bowl is over 2.5 players to have a pass attempt. Obviously, May, Darnold. God forbid one of them gets hurt and a backup comes in that prop cashes. You think about the trick plays. It's now or never if you're going to use them. Maybe, Smith and Jigba
I
throws
never
one.
thought about
maybe
that.
the Patriots, maybe Stevenson throws
And
a
there
pass.
have been some passes like that in
Yep.
Super Bowl history.
And the other thing, and I would keep an eye out with the Patriots side in particular, Vrabel has caught touchdowns in 2 of the 3 Super Bowls he played in. Maybe you find some exotic guys for New England who wouldn't normally find the end zone. Maybe you can pass the tradition down because he was that guy in 03 and 04. You were at one of those Super Bowls. I don't know if you're standing in the back of the end zone. I don't know. But
I was in the back of the end zone for the Patriots and the Panthers. Yeah.
Yep. So maybe you might have seen one of them right in front of you.
Yeah,
that had to be a good trip to
The
Houston.
streaker ran right at me at that Super Bowl. I'll never forget that.
Was that intentional,
That's
you think?
another one. Well, I'm not quite sure how that went. The other angle for the Super Bowl is the New England Patriots defensive coordinator who has been battling prostate cancer and didn't really coach all year, most of the year, but he's won that battle for the time being. He's cancer-free. Terrell Williams, who was a former East Carolina Pirate, and he talked about his battle with cancer when he got to Super Bowl 60.
When you're going through something and when it's tough, you got to share with people, man, because keeping that stuff in, that's not the way to go. So I learned that, and I grew up in this state. I'm from South Central Los Angeles, and we were taught where I grew up to keep things inside. And now going through what I went through over the last year, not keeping it inside. I'm sharing with people the struggles, not just the nausea and the things you're going through, but also the mental part, because there's a mental component that's probably the biggest of going through a struggle like that.
Great story, a former Pirate, and we wish him the very best.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully can continue to make that quick recovery.
All right, back with more on Bailey's Best after this. Welcome back to Bailey's Best. Let's talk a little college basketball. East Carolina with a big win down in Florida Atlantic, down at Boca Raton. And really, we talk about the success in a basketball team. You have to take care of business at home and then steal a couple on the road. Well, the Pirates have stolen a couple on the road, but they got to figure out a way to take care of business at home.
Yeah, a game, when they're down 21-9 in that first half, I don't think anyone was expecting the Pirates to come back just the way they've kind of played this year, and going up against a team, Florida Atlantic, that was in the top 4 in the league, is now 5th after that loss. Credit to Jordan Riley. I mean, he got the Oscar Robertson, award nationally this week, and back-to-back 35-plus point games. He's been absolutely outstanding.
He really has. He puts on a show, and it's really just fun to watch him play, driving to the basket, those baseline slams. I mean, very athletic, and he's really, really done a great job. Now, the key for East Carolina, you can't finish in the bottom 3 and make the tournament. Right. So they've got to figure out a way to crawl their way out of that bottom 3. If you look at the bottom 4, North Texas is at 3-6, Rice 3-6, East Carolina 2-7, UTSA 0-9. So the Pirates have a 2-game lead over the Roadrunners of UTSA. But when you look up, and the Pirates would have the tiebreaker with North Texas, you got to figure out a way to win some of those games. Then you got Tulane. You got a disappointing Memphis team at 5-4 as you move up the standings. If you go to the very top, Tulsa's at the top at 7-2, 19-3 overall. So they've had a great season. But it's like the teams haven't figured out who is the best team in the American, have they?
No, they're really and Tulsa's really the only team that's been good, and it's been surprising to me. Particularly, Memphis has been really disappointing, being under 500 at this point in the year. And Penny Hardaway, they got a lot of money coming in. It's that Memphis basketball program, and when I look at the league this year, I think they're the most surprising team. Charlotte has turned it around. They were not great last year. South Florida's always been good. You got Temple coming to Minji's on Saturday, and we'll see how the Pirates fare. They got that game with Rice at home. They were tied at the half. You really would have liked to have that one, but they do have 2 left against UTSA still, 1 at home, 1 on the road, and you really got to win, in my opinion, both of those to have a chance of getting out of the bottom 3.
And Rice would have the tiebreaker over East Carolina with that win. Now, those guards for Rice really played well in that game, and lest we forget, the Pirates really banged up injury-wise, and they don't like to use that as an excuse, but this is a totally different team than what we thought we'd see this year.
They at least fight. The roster is certainly a long way from what we expected and what I'm sure Mike Schwartz thought it would be, but they do battle for them. We'll see if the results can come, but they got some work to do, and we'll probably need some help to get out of that bottom 3.
As for the ladies, East Carolina has a scheduled game. They moved it up to try to get South Florida out of town before any bad weather would hit. But as we go with the recording, East Carolina at 8-2, tied for second place with Tulsa behind Rice. Big loss for East Carolina the other night against Wichita State, because Wichita State not very good at the bottom of the standings, 5-18, 2-8 in the conference, and one of those 2 a win over East Carolina.
Yeah, you just couldn't drop it that game right there. But the Pirates, they did bounce back with a win at Charlotte. They had to move that game up, played on a Friday afternoon. We're able to get that one in ahead of the big winter storm we had. Still a lot to play for the Pirates, who are 8-2 in the league. You play South Florida on Wednesday afternoon as we tape this. So 3 versus 4 in the conference battling. Pirates, would be a big win to get to 9-2 in the league if they can get it done.
Yeah, and they played really, really good basketball for the most part. But that Wichita State game was just bizarre because they struggled the entire night and they got it tied. And then once they hit tied, they didn't score until the final seconds.
Tied at 51 with
Right.
8:22 to go. They did not score again until 7 seconds left in the game when the result was already in hand. A strange cold spell there.
Strange indeed. All right, let's take a look at the ACC. Got about a minute before we go to break. Duke leading at 10-0. Again, the bottom 3 don't make the tournament. And you got Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, Boston College, and Pitt all down there with basically the same records. The first 4, 2-7, Pittsburgh at 2-8. So they're all struggling to try to make the tournament. At the top, you're trying to get that double bye. Duke 10-0, 21-1. Then you got Clemson, Virginia, NC State, North Carolina. And you've got that first battle of the Blues coming up this week. North Carolina playing host to the Duke Blue Devils.
We'll have coverage for you on WNCT. I'm making my way to Chapel Hill.
That'd be fun.
First battle of the Blues I've been to at the Dean Dome was at the one last year with the lane violation. Carolina down 21, came back, would have tied the game, but a lane violation negated the game-tying 3 throw. So that'll be exciting. Caleb Wilson going against his former AAU teammates, the Boozer twins. So a little game within the game there.
That should be fun. Duke and North Carolina coming up on Saturday, 6 o'clock, 6:30 tip-off from Chapel Hill. Let's take another break. Back with more to wrap things up on this edition of Bailey's Best after this. All right, welcome back as we wrap up this edition of Bailey's Best. Brian Bailey with Zach Kaplan. Zach's New England Patriots involved in Super Bowl 60. They are the 4.5-point underdog to the Seattle Seahawks in this game. And we talked about the previous matchup between these two and how weird it was that Beast Mode didn't get a chance to carry the football at the end. What kind of game do you expect in this one?
I expect, I think it will be higher scoring than people think. I've seen a lot of 24-20, 21-17 out there. The total as we sit here is about, for most places, about 45. Patriots are a 4.5-point underdog. The line has not moved all week, which gives me confidence that Drake May will be healthy and play in this game. I think Vegas would move the line if we had more injury news about May as we sit here on Wednesday of Super Bowl week. So I do think the biggest key for Seattle is going to be Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's been outstanding, but probably, in my opinion, the best receiver in the NFL this year, and nobody's been able to cover him. Not at all. Teams have doubled him. They played all kinds of coverages coverages against him. I think the Patriots got to try to play Christian Gonzalez on their top cover corner on an island with him. Hope it works. But I really do think if Seattle wins, there's a chance that he's the MVP and not Darnold if he goes for, say, 11 catches, $122 touchdowns. So he's the real it factor for Seattle. For New England, if they win, it's hard to see how Drake May wouldn't be the MVP. I think he's going to have to lead them unless they have multiple defensive touchdowns.
Drake May with so many ties to the state of North Carolina. So a lot of, those from the Tar Heel State may root for him just because he does have all of those ties. And just, you think about how's he going to react to the situation, the big stage. How is Sam Darnold going to react? But Darnold's got, nightmares of playing for the Panthers and the Jets and, some of those days. So it's a big difference on that big stage.
He broke my heart in the 2017 Rose Bowl, Penn State USC. So I'm hoping maybe I can get one back on him here in this game. But the big thing with Darnold and the big thing with coaches, Mike McDonald, Seahawks head coach, their staff, Clint Kubiak's on his way to the Raiders. So maybe a little distraction there. They haven't been in this game, and the Super Bowl is so much longer than your typical game, even in the postseason. 35-minute halftime. Josh McDaniels has coached in so many of these. Mike Vrabel's played in 3 of these. So I do think the Patriots are a little more experienced as far as that goes, with knowing how to deal with it, and in a close game, maybe can make the difference.
All right, let's get your predictions now. Super Bowl 60, who you got?
All week I've kind of felt like Seattle's going to win, but I'm going to project confidence for the sake of Bailey's best here.
There you go.
I'm going to go 27-23 New England.
Wow, 27-23 New England. I'm going to go Seattle 27, New England 21.
Okay.
So I'm going to go a little bit off the beaten path as far as your beaten path, but and it's something. When I was a kid, having my favorite team play in the Super Bowl was really cool. Every year they had a chance. Now, obviously, as we mentioned, and my team is the Cowboys. 30 years it's been since the Cowboys have made it to the Super Bowl, but still, you know what I've done for 30 years?
What have you done?
I put my Dallas Cowboys stuff on for Super Bowl Sunday, even though they don't make it.
Where are you watching? The bonus room?
Yeah, sometimes we'll go out to my favorite place, Tiebreakers, or sometimes we'll just stay in the bonus room and maybe have like our own little tailgate party, that kind of thing. But it's and usually everybody will make it to halftime and they'll give up on the game, and I'll just stay and watch the rest of the game.
Just like Mark Wahlberg did at Super Bowl 51, he left. He left the game. You were there in Atlanta when they won, though.
Yes, I was there in Atlanta Super Bowl. I think it was 28, Buffalo and Dallas, and the Cowboys won that game. So it was kind of cool to be at a Super Bowl when your favorite team's playing. That was really a great experience.
My nightmare is being the one where they lose.
Yeah,
never want to do that.
There you go. All right, for Zach Kaplan, I'm Brian Bailey. Have yourself a great sports week. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and we'll see you back here next week on Bailey's Best.